another session of Khoj Gurbani. This will be our last session for the year, and then we are going to hit the pause button until the new year. A lot of us are traveling and being the holiday season. We are actually on the seventh Pauri. As Arvinder alluded to earlier, we have actually gone through the Saloks, and what was left was the Pauri. So let's go to Gurjeet Singh Virji. Virji, if you're there and if you can hear me, would you want to sort of go through the Pauri and give us a walkthrough as well as relating it to the Saloks prior?
Mahanji Vahiji Khalsa, Vahiji Ki Fateh. I am lucky that I can get through this today. It's I'm on someone's house with the Wi-Fi, so you have already done the shaloks. So the shaloks are all on Home.
Right.
And the Home is always associated when we don't have a body, when we are still getting into the process of, in the Garb, the Home comes with us. And anyone with a Home has to come here. The Home is created by somehow in using that virtue of Swabhang, in which the Jeev can break itself. It gets out of tune with the Sachkhand, and then he has to come, and then he relates home which Aya. And in the end, when he has to leave, because the man is only created when we are in this, you can say, Kal Yuga. But in Dwapar, when we are, when the Jyot is creating its own outer shell of this body, the home was there. Then if he doesn't do any effort in between, then he comes and goes in the same stage. Home which Aya, he came in the home and then he left in the home. He had a chance to improve upon, but I think there are a lot of other issues which are created within this life, and then he just totally forgets the aim of his life. Then home which Jamme, home which Muva. And he just relates the whole story of the Jeev, home which Ditta, because he never realized that there is a mood, there's a purpose for life, and he can improve, Prani tu aya laha land. If he doesn't take this, doesn't earn any virtues here, he goes back maybe in a worse state. Home which Satyar, Kudiyar. Although he's Satyar, but because of the home, he's become a Kudiyar, and he has to go back into the original state of Satyar. Home which Papun Vichar. So he's, whatever we are discussing, we still keep the home in front, because this is the way we have been educated. Home which Narg Surg Avatar, then within this home we just come and go within this reincarnations. Home which Pariya, home which Dove, home which Jati Jinsi Khove, home which Murk, home which Syana. Although he's wise, but because of the home, he becomes unwise. Mokh Mukt ki saar na jana. That was the only aim of life, that he knew how to get rid of this home. Home which Maya, home which Chaya. Because of the Maya, he's not enlightened. He's always within the darkness. Home mein kar kar jantu paya. This is quite important. Because of the home, he has got this body of jant. Home bujhe, he has to. It's not an easy thing. It's like hukme bujhe, same way home bujhe. Then he goes back to the door from which he was asked to leave. And then from there he could re-enter into his original state. But the whole problem is Gyan Bihuna Kat Kat Lujya. When he doesn't have its own, self-knowledge about his own, what I am a spirit, am I a human being taking a spiritual experience, or I'm a spiritual being taking a human experience, he's basically suffering on that ground. Jeha veke teha vek. Whatever he's writing, he will be ultimately judged as per that. Then Mahalla Duja explains it actually in a very exclusive way. Home mein iha jaat hai, home mein karam kamai. That the home is when you are associated with the body. The jat is the outer. When your jot can be either in your trikuti or within your heart. Home mein hi bandhana. And this is the main bonding. So when you can't get rid of your home, then you will go through reincarnations. Some people say, you are doing this within this reincarnation, you're going through different thought processes. But here it's actually much more that you are going through different incarnations so that you can get rid of this. Home kithoं उपजे कित संजमे जाए. This is the ultimate question. That home is, where did it start from? Gurbani or Gurmat says that it starts from the Param. It never started from a Karam, because in Sachkhand he can't do a Karam. But within that he get a Sur. The whole of the Sachkhand is in Sur. If he breaks away his from that synchronized Sur, then he gets into this stage. Home kitho upje, Gurbani says it started from the Param. It was created, the doubt somehow, the illusion, it got created in Sachkhand. It doesn't tell much in detail, but it does say that Param is the main cause of the Jeev getting away from that whole macro system. Home eo hukum hai paiye kirt firai. Then within home, then you are, because of the home, you will just be going back and forward to improve yourself. Home dirgh rog hai, although it's not a, it says it's a chronic disease. It has been lasting for a long time with you, but it has got a daru. It has got a medicine within it. The cure is within the jeev, because the jeev got the home because of lack of knowledge. The jeev can get out of home with when he fulfills his mind with the knowledge. Kirpa kare je apni is, if the jeev do his own kirpa, like we were just doing a shlok, like, in Nome Pasha shlok, and there are two shloks, he says, bal hua, that's the answer, bal hua bandhan chute. But before that, when he got into the bandhan, it was because of his own lack of knowledge. The responsibility was not of Sachkhand or the others. The responsibility is always with the Jeev, and he is capable of doing it. Bal hua bandhan chute, sab kish ho tu paye, Nanak, sab kish tumre haath mein. It's not, he can seek help, but he has to do it himself. So this is what my understanding. Nanak hai, means kirpa kare je apni, then he is go through Gurbani, he has to jap, and then from jap he has to do the tap, and then simran, and then ultimately dhyan, and he's back into the state of oneness again. Nanak hai suno janam. But this is a sanjam, this is a discipline the mind has to keep. He has to be constantly understanding his self. Then the Pauri comes. Sev kiti santokhi. The real service you can only do to your mood if your mind get into a state of, you can say, contentment. The Sat Santokh Vicharo is all because the mind has to do that action. Only those people have done the real save, the save which is considered as to give you a mukti from this reincarnation. Jin Sacho Sachatyaya. The Sach is nothing but his own self. But before Tyana there is a state of mool, when he discovers that what was the whole game, what was the whole cause of my janam, that is through jap, and then it's constantly going through this discipline of keeping the mind in control with the help of the wisdom. Sev kiti santokhai, only those have been considered as doing the service to themselves, jin sacho sachatyaya, who has attained the stage of up to the dhyan, uni mande pair na rakhyo, their mind never goes back to the Trikuti again, in that, because there he's falling there. He's falling from his standards over there because he gets attracted to the Maya. Kar sukrita taram ko Maya. This is the sukriti, to keep your consciousness within your heart. Uni duniya tode bandhana. He has broken all the chains of, greed, the emotions, the love, kam kro lo mohankar, ann pani thoda khaya. He never consider that I have come here just to eat and drink. It's all otherwise we are all considered as animals if we are living we are eating just to live. Anna pani thoda khaya. He hasn't come here just to keep his outer body healthy, but he has attained the knowledge and kept his inner body healthy. Tum bakshishi agla. The bakshish comes from the Sachkhand. Nit deve chade svaya. And if you are in contact with them, savaya is 1.25 times we normally say. Sava. That is always in the increasing mode. Vadiyai vada paya. Firstly, the man has to do the vadiyai of the chit. Then they together has to do the vadiyai of the hukam. So that is my understanding. Ji. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa. Vaheguru ji ki.
Thank you, Viji. Thank you for that explanation. Gurdeep Singh Viji, would you like to give us your perspective?
He explained very well. Everything's clear here, but I have 1 or 2 points here. Circulated Santoki is wonderful. There's one point. We have to go back where it says, "Gyani Gurbani Gyan na hoye." Gyan bhi huna kat kat luje. There was a line. Gyan bhi huna kat kat luje. Another place. Gurbani says, Gyani, Guru bin Gyan na hoy. So that means we have to go to Guru, and then because Guru ka sabd kamaye, then where is the sabd? That sabd we have to take from Guru. That's when we get the grace. Indirectly, if we say literally means like we have to go to a Guru, when we go to Panj Pyaras and take that sabd, Guru mantra, and us mantra, we have to repetition of that mantra, we enunciate the mantra. That I think these lines give a direction towards that. The that is also here is a problem. He says the man who doesn't trust anybody, he's not trustworthy himself. If we don't trust the world will not trust us the same way. So if we look the world, har ka roop hai, har nadriya. ये संसार जो तुम देखते हर का रूप है. If we think it's a har ka roop, that's fine. It's a har ka roop. If we think the other way around, like we were confused last time, Kood Raja, Kood Parja, Kood Sab Sansar, Kood Mari, Kood Mandap. If we think it's a Kood, then it's a Kood. But if we take out the truth out of it, the such, that's the supreme power, the Lord, then everything is such. Everything is fine. If we ignore that, then everything is cool. Now again, Sevkiti Santoki, that's fine. Gurjit Viji explained very good. If you are not content within yourself, then there's no use. You can't do much seva because you are not content. Because the Sukhmani Sahib says, Seva karta hoye ne kami, tisko hot prabhu swami. Nishkam seva, which is very hard. Only dunya tode bandra, that's fine. Only mande perna rakho. Kirt also we can take the hard earned money, honest earned money, and then you take this one, the 10th of it, and abstain from the bad deeds and all that. That looks fine here. Then tu buksisi agla. Then he gave us his grace. Every day you will progress toward that. Chan shan ek penda jai chal, Satgur kot penda aage leta hai. So we have to put some efforts. Then he will help you to improve in the same direction. And what is after that? Let me see. Kirpa kare, je apni ta gur ka sabd kamai. Then it says, Kirpa kare jis parbam, hove sadhu sang, jo jo ovdaiye, tyo tyo harsyo rang. So this is also Gurbani answers for this. Then ek kutumb, duniya tode bandhana. Ek kutumb sab ji ke bandhan bhai, param pula sa sara. Bin gur gaant na chutte bhai, gurmukh mokh dwara. So that answer these lines here. Bandhan kiya, bandhan sut karne aur nar. Is sara family vagara, everything is a bandhan. But how to get rid of? So gurmukh mokh dwara. Ek kutumb sab ji ke bandhan bhai, param pula. Param is also another kind of maya. Param pula sa sara, bin gur gaant na chutte bhai. The gurmukh mokh dwara. It again gives a direction that we have to go to Panj Pyaras, take the Shabad, take Guru Mantra, and then we practice it. And then everything will start falling suit. You will be progress up spiritually. But I would up, that we have to. Jisnu Bakshe Silsila, Nanak Pasha Pasha. So Jodi Asi Gun Gavange, if we sing the divine hymns from the core of your heart, this even Bible says. Even Gurbani says, Thakar Gaya Atam Rang. So this is wonderful thing here. Buddha is Supreme Lord, then we will achieve him. Otherwise, we cannot get rid of the cycle of birth, reincarnation, death, and all that, because Homa, which is one of the son or one of the child of a Maya, Ek Mai Jane Panchaputa, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Hankara. So this all thing comes under Homa. And finally, last word, Homa is so small, we call it Suksham. I don't know how to translate Suksham into this. It won't leave the man no matter how high he goes spiritually. So only the Guru can help him. Thank you. This is how I understand all this. Thank you.
Thank you, Virji. Thank you very much. Hanji, Chetandeep Singh, I'm sure you've picked up on some of the things that Gurdeep Singh Virji has mentioned. I am particularly interested in your view about the fact that he's mentioned the repetition of a mantra. And I would like you to sort of comment on that in your analysis. Hanji, Chetandeep.
Virji, I'm actually babysitting, so I'm not sure how much I can contribute. But I was listening to Virji, and in my understanding, what I felt, he mentioned a lot of internal things as well as a lot of external things. So it all makes sense to me, except all the external things. All external things that he mentioned, Panch Pyare or taking Shabad or Mantar, to me it's all a means to an end rather than an end itself. Maybe it provides some sort of discipline, but that is not exactly what Gurbani is telling. Gurbani is telling everything internal to me. So that's what I picked on.
Okay. Meena Banji, I'm coming to you next. You heard Chetandeep, and if you could respond to what Gurdeep Singh Virji has said. Here's the thing that I want to ask you to address is, Chetandeep has talked about external things and internal things, and he's suggesting that external things like Panch Pyara and taking a mantra and repetition is really not that important, at least in his perspective. It's the internal. So the question that I'm also trying to, for the sake of this discussion, is saying is, we are implying some sort of a discipline here, right? And in that discipline is implied, from what Gurdeep Singh Virji has said, is the repetition of a particular mantra. And I would like to get your opinion on that, and then we can carry on with this discussion, because it is important. We need to really be clear whether that is indeed part of this discipline. Does that lead on to some other state, or are we to start somewhere else? What are the sort of things that involve this discipline? So, Hanji Benji.
I actually I did not listen to the whole thing. That
I gave you a little summary. So the question is, if you want to, we would appreciate your weighing in on one. Gurdeep Singh Virji talked about internal discipline, external discipline. Internal being Sevkiti Santokh hai, meaning, some level of Santokh has to be established before you can do this seva, which is Satkriti Seva. This is an internal thing. But he also mentioned external activities like going to the Panch Pyaras and, chakoing Amrit and getting mantra which you then recite or repeat. So my question to you is, what is your take on, Gurbani's thought? I mean, is Ratan really part of our discipline, or is it not?
Okay, I understood what your question is
It's
about
arising
the,
from what we are hearing here.
yeah,
It's not
basically, I
necessarily
think
my.
about job. That's where the question is coming from, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
Like the repetition of the word Vaheguru, right?
or any
That's
other
what
word for that matter. For us, Vaheguru.
well, in our religion, yeah, we would be repeating
Yeah,
Vaheguru.
yeah. So the issue is
Um,
repetition, mechanical repetition.
well, the repetition, well, it's not mechanical. It is mindful repetition.
But it's
Mechanical is
still
where mind
mechanical.
is not involved
No, but your tongue is still mechanically repeating it. You
in the
may be
beginning.
mindful of
Yes,
it, but your tongue is
yes.
still involved, and that is it is
Tongue
involved
is
in a very mechanical way because it's a physical object.
right. It is a physical object. There's no
Yeah,
doubt about it.
yeah.
In the beginning, yes, which is the Bakhri Bani, means you have to repeat, you have to use the tongue and listen. It's not just saying it and leaving it in the air. You are listening, so it's going inside by listening. Listening is the only way that it will go inside. So just like those desi hand pumps that the example I could give you is, in the beginning when they are extracting water from the well deep inside the from deep inside the earth, in the beginning they pour water from externally. They pour water externally. So in the beginning, same way I can explain that um, there is job going on inside every human body. It is going on because that's God, that's Guru, whatever you want to call it. The energy is there in everybody. So to reach there, there's a lot of garbage inside, which is home, and that has been collected over a number of births that we have gone through. So everything is like written in ultra digital form. It's all written on our man. So, in order for us to remove all those things, that Jap and Bani and all those, even this is Sangat, what we are doing right now, it all helps to remove all that kalak that has been there over not a period of years, but a period of births. So, Vaheguru Mantar is a Bij Mantar. Bij is like just like a huge tree. We see huge trees. They come out of just one little seed.
Necessary part of Sikh's pattern of living. That's what I'm really trying to get to. That you believe.
It was not a lot of years ago, not a lot. I would say like it's becoming more. I'm sorry, I'm getting echoed.
It's not.
It's becoming more common, I should use the word, now. But earlier, I used to see like 20 years ago, it wasn't common for people to do Simran or Jap. It was more of like just Nitnem and going to Gurdwara, reading Bani, and that's the end of the story. I don't know. Guru blessed me, and even I started like 18 years ago, and I was like, what is this? I was exposed to that. I'm like, what is this going on? I've never seen anything like that. And then I was told, no, it is very, very powerful. And I started for the heck of it. I'm like, okay, I have nothing to lose. I'll just start for 15 minutes a day and see what happens. And how it started changing everything around me, just those 15 minutes. And I'm like, wow, this is like really moving my whole life around and giving me an anchor to without doing anything for the rest of the day.
Okay, very
I
good.
wasn't doing a lot of farming.
Look,
So from experience, I can say, and then
you're
after that,
welcome
I
for
just
it. Mhm.
kept on doing for a lot of years alone. And then I found Sangat, and I'm like, wow, it can be done in Sangat also. And then it kept multiplying. And I think this is a wonderful thing. And eventually, we all
Okay.
have to and should do Simran.
Okay.
So
So
that's my
Virji,
take on it.
can I
Hanji,
ask a
Benji, I'm sorry. This is getting interesting. Hanji, Chetandeep, I was going to go. Can I come to you after I go to Gurjeet Singh Virji?
I just wanted to ask Meena Penji on what she said. Like it has changed her life fundamentally,
We'll
and
come to
I
that. We'll
sure.
come to that.
Thank you.
I know where you are going with this, but I want to first establish is this a practice that is recommended in a Sikh way of life or not? And I know there is no simple answer. There are many answers. There are many viewpoints. I perfectly understand what Meena Panji is saying. But let me go to Gurjeet Singh Virji first.
Satgur, I just want to add that good Satgur ka jo Sikh akhaye so palke ut har naam te aaye.
Yeah, I get that. I get that, but we'll come back to this. This is a good discussion because it can mean Tyai can mean different things. So let me come back to that. Let me, Chetandeep, if it's okay with you, let me touch on Gurjeet Singh Virji for a second, and then we'll come back to Meena Panji and your question. Okay?
Sure.
Anji, Gurjeet Singh Virji.
Anji Virji.
So have you had a chance to listen to the question and what Meena Panji has said? Hanji, so what is your view? Is this written or repetition part of a recommendation, I mean, for a Sikh life, or is this just a matter of private choice?
The thing is that Sikhism has been affected by a lot of sects around Sikhism. The whole repetition system starts in Buddhism, actually. It started from there. It can improve your concentration. I'll agree to that. If you have, some people have lack of concentration. But it has nothing to do with gaining knowledge. We never repeat a word to gain knowledge. We always, I'm speaking to you, I'm imparting knowledge. I'm not gaining knowledge. The knowledge is always gained by constantly with an interaction of your wisdom with your mood. So the whole basic phenomena that I'm repeating and taking naam is absolutely negative. By saying something, you are imparting knowledge, you're not gaining knowledge. They're saying, "Main naam jap rahe hain." Naam could never be japo by speaking. You know, the basic purpose of tongue is to, I'm speaking to you because I'm trying to impart some sort of knowledge to you. Secondly, Nanak hukume je bujhe. Otherwise, they would have written Nanak Vaheguru je rate. He would have clearly written that. Where is the Bujarat thing coming in us? We are trying to go into an invisible world, taking very, very crude examples from visibility. You know, it's the hardest game ever to play because the one we are trying to interact with is Rupna Rekhna Rangkich. And then there are restrictions in Bani which stops us from these. How we are going to cross those hurdles? Kahu bol na paunchat prani. Agam agochar prab nirbani. The one we are trying to interact is outside the sphere of our five senses. This speaking is only limited to what I'm in the Maya. If there is no air in between you and me or this electromagnetic radiations, we can't even listen to each other. So this is very, very limited sphere from which we are trying to go to something which is agam. Either you don't call it agam.
But as you said earlier, and I'm just trying to be a devil's advocate here, the practice that is being talked about here is broadly comes under the rubric of meditation. So I know that I've heard a lot of people talk about the process, starting with Bakri Bani, going to Prasant. It has 4 levels. But if someone were to practice that and improve their concentration, we know, for example, that meditation does help. I mean, this is measurable now. It actually helps with your physiological processes. Now, granted that it may not have anything to do with Naam, because Naam is knowledge. And knowledge cannot be had by, as you said, repeating a word over and over again. However, do you think that this could be an ancillary practice that goes along with the job of knowledge? No.
For some people, it is. For some people, it says
it becomes a private choice, right? Then it becomes a personal choice.
Even people like John Milton, he says, I repeat my own name. He says, why should I repeat everyone else's name?
Right,
I'm the most beautiful thing in myself. He says that, he claims that, but he has not written any grant. It could be a tool. It's not necessary for everyone. could be like, when you go to a Gurudwara, they play the music first.
Right.
All these sants play a shan. They're not singing anything. They're only
Mm-hmm.
trying to concentrate
Right.
that you know for what purpose you are here.
Right.
This is the only purpose. Otherwise, Gur ki mat tu le yane. This is the meditation.
Right. So if
Bhakti Vinabadi.
a Sikh, and I'm speaking to the panel here, it seems to me, and we'll come back to you, Meena Panji and Chetandeep, what I am gathering from what Gurjit Singh's perspective and your perspective, my sense is that there are many aids that one can avail of. Trying to, after all, we are trying to tame the mind a little bit, and the mind tends to run and jump around like a monkey. So, as long as we are conscious and aware of why we are doing this practice of meditation, understanding that it is an aid for me to actually along this path, then perhaps it is a personal choice. As Viji is saying, some people get focused and concentrated through the listening of Kirtan, and they don't do jap of the kind that Meena Panji is talking about. Some people get a great deal of pleasure by just reciting Gurbani aloud because it has its own rhythm. And a lot of people, me included, sometimes get totally carried away in that process. But as long as you recognize that this has nothing to do with acquiring that knowledge, which is Naam, then it's okay, it seems to me. Hanji, Chetandeep, what was your question?
I forgot my question, but then there arose 10 more questions.
Okay.
So let me go with the flow in what I have in mind.
Uh,
And you say you were just mentioning about it's a private choice, and we have many aids at our disposal.
mhm.
But Japji Sir Pauri 1 tells us that no other aid is going to help. It has negated all other aids. Soche sochna ho gayi, chuppe chupna ho gayi, pukhya pukhna. All private choices, all aids have been negated. And Guru said there is only one universal way. Hukam rajai chalana nanak likhya na. So he gave us one universal way, right? So that, I mean, that said, I want to step back a little and reflect on the question you asked about job, about everything that we are discussing here. What is the goal of us doing everything, right? What is the basic goal? Why are we trying to do anything that we are trying to do? And the goal seems to be to realize our own self. Like Gurjeet Pir ji say, apna mool pachan, right?
Right.
Like mool. So to realize our own nature, our own self. So now the thing is, and Guru also tells us that no matter what we do, no matter what practice we do, we cannot achieve. First of all, there is nothing to be achieved. Like we don't have to achieve God, or we are not in a race to achieve something. We have to realize our own nature. So there is nothing to be achieved, or we don't have. Guru says, "Tu apna mool pachan." You are ik. You are already one. So just realize that, and you are good. There's nothing to be achieved or doing japna and achieving something, right? There is no magical power to be achieved here. But that said, what Gurjeet Virji said, that and what you said, I'm just trying to combine that and say, for to realize our own nature, we have to quieten our mind. Our mind has to be aware of itself, or at least it has to be quiet. And the result of today's society, today's culture is that our mind is on autopilot all the time. It's running around, right? Guru Amar Das Pacha has a Shabad, Pankhi Birk Sohavada, Sach Chuge Gurpai. In that Shabad, it says ki Pankhi, it flies time and again. So, in that respect, I think what Virji was saying, the Buddhist practices of meditation, well, they actually did not have a written meditation, but they had a silent meditation. Like, be quiet and watch your own self, watch your own nature, or observe yourself. So, in my opinion, doing that actually helps. Like when I'm observing what am I thinking right now, what am I feeling, am I being fearful, or just observing my own self helps me realize my own nature. And that's exactly what Buddhists did. That's basically their meditation, like watching one's own thoughts, And it's by doing all of this, we definitely cannot achieve by our own effort. Like if I tell you, you do this meditation 10 hours a day and you're going to achieve it. No, there is an element of grace or nurture. So, and that part is completely given to me. So there seems to be a play here.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So you see, even in this discussion, what is coming out is, uh, regardless of whether or not there is something to achieve or not to achieve, we tend to be in our lives very accomplishment oriented. Okay, that's how me. It's always trying to achieve something. To your point, there is nothing to achieve really. There is just an awakening to your real nature. However, having said that, it seems to me, and you've alluded to this, that there are practices. I mean, after all, we go to the gym, we exercise, we try to eat right. Why? Just so that our body and mind will function better. So there are mental practices also that will help you try and focus on what you're doing better. And insofar as that is concerned, these practices are fine. But then there is that underlying knowledge or understanding that will bring you face to face with your mood. And even there are no markers. I mean, how on earth would you know that you've actually recognized your mood? Because it's an endless process. It just keeps going on and on. But I think the question that you had, which you've forgotten, was perhaps addressed to Meena Janji, is how has your life changed, and how do you, and how does that relate to Gurbani? I mean, how has your life changed in the context of those markers? Was that what you were trying to ask her?
Uh, yes, Virji, thank you for reminding that.
I,
You're
I
saying
think
like doing
it wasn't me. Harvinder reminded me.
like doing Naam Simran has really changed her life,
Yeah,
right? And she said like 15 minutes a day. So we
yeah.
would like to, I would like to hear how.
Hanji Meena
Okay.
Janji.
Yeah, I heard the question.
Hanji.
First of all, Naam is not just Gyan. I just wanted to say Naam is mantra also. Amrit Naam Nirmolak Hira Gurdino Mantani. Amrit Naam is Nirmolak Hira hai that Guru has given us in the form of a mantra.
I think you're translating Mantani as mantar, but this is a discussion that I think we can take uh, at some other time. What I would request you
Yeah,
is,
I will.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
how
fine.
has it
But
affected you?
listening about it, I would suggest that I
How
can
has it
give you my
affected you?
experience. I'm sorry.
How has it affected you personally?
Yes, I'm coming to that. Okay. It started 18 years ago. I remember in 2000 I started. It was 1999 Vaisakhi or it was 2000 around that time. I got exposed to this Simran and I had never seen it before. And then I'm like, I've never seen anyone do that. And then I was told that it helps, and then other things. So I was a little bit impressed. I'm like, okay, let me just start it for the sake of it. And I started doing like I thought I'm gonna do 40 days. And I used to be working in a clinic. I'm a registered dietitian by profession. So I used to see a lot of patients, and I used to feel scattered and get tired by the time I come back home. And then I said, okay, let me add this. Within a week, I started feeling so together and so different. It was unbelievable. I said, it's not costing me anything. It's only 15 minutes. I just do it in the morning, and whole day I'm so anchored. That's how I started doing. I wasn't doing much part at that time. I was listening to Kirtan or Jap Sahib here and there, not a lot during the day, and that's all. So I kept doing that for about good 6, 7, 8 years. And then 10 years ago, I was exposed to this Simran in the Sangat form. And one of my brothers, my god brother, he's like, oh, Penji, ਇੱਥੇ Simran ਹੁੰਦਾ. And I'm like, oh, people do it in Sangat also. And then I started going to that Sangat, and Well, yes, some of the things I did not like, but I kept going there because I was getting sangat, and it's much easier to do it in sangat than doing it alone for a longer period of time. Like, say, if you want to do it for an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, people do it for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. They get a lot of benefits. I now agree to them. Earlier, even I used to say, why are they sitting for so many hours? They could have done so much, they could have accomplished so much, and they're just sitting down there. But now, having gone through the experience of it, uh then the Bani starts coming back to me. It's like Prabhu ke Simran sab kich sujhe. So then I started getting this, the more Simran you do, in the beginning stages, it starts solving your problems. All of a sudden, you have the solution to the answer that you've been looking for. Like a flash of idea would come, and all of a sudden, while you're doing Simran, not just the problems here, but the deeper problems they start solving, or you get the answers, and I'm like, oh my god, that is the right answer, which I could never think on my own. So a lot of these kind of things happen. They remove your doubts, and then they change your moods. You don't want to go into the parties that I used to like. I stopped going, and I'm like, okay, I don't feel like mingling with those people. It's such a waste of time. Oh my God, they're talking so shallow. Why am I mixing with them? So those kind of things started happening, and I was more like how we say कि everything is inside.
Can
So
I
this,
ask you, if could that not be arrogance or haume developing, that's saying, oh, I don't want to go and meet those people anymore and talking so shallow? I mean, is that not a comparison that
no, I don't think so. It's a home. It's protection. You have to protect yourself.
yeah, so if my point is, you live in the world and you are protected. So, and if this
What do you mean
world
you're
is
protected?
Maya, what is there to protect yourself from? It's all just happening.
Oh, because you work so hard. I mean,
No, I'm just
I'm not saying.
questioning thought arising that says, oh, I'm not going to deal with A, B, and C because they're talking, whatever. It,
Shallow.
well, I mean, so you're assuming that they're shallow, but you're not.
No, listen, there's a difference between being humble and
I'm
not recognizing. You have to recognize that I don't want to mingle with, because the conscious levels are different in different people.
all right.
I'm not
Let
saying that
me,
I'm judging them, but I have to know where I have to go so that I don't go down.
that's different. That's different. But
That's what I'm talking about.
we've got about 5 minutes left. I want to give Gurdeep Singh Virji a chance to also make a comment. Hanji, Gurdeep Singh Virji.
Anji, Sat Sri Akal ji, Bhen ji explained very well. गुरमुख हुए सो लिपतो वर्ते, जैसे जल में कमल निरालम, मुर्गाई निसैने, सब सुध भाव सागर तरिए, नानक नाम बखाने. Like our soul lives in the water.
Yeah, but it is still in the dirty.
That's the way for us to live. We have to live, but we don't want to get involved in the worldly things. Bhakta te sariyan jod kade nahi. You cannot be at the same level with the worldly people and yourself where you want to go up.
Well, that means that you're not firm then in your belief or your.
No, we are
No,
not.
because we have to
No,
protect
we are not.
ourselves.
No, that is true. We are not.
So then,
We are still learning, and there's kadam kadam te there is problems there. Anytime it is such a slippery
okay,
path. You can slip down anytime.
that's fine. I,
Okay.
I get your point.
Okay, can I say more?
Yeah.
Why do we perform Anandikari? Why can't we live together with a girlfriend, a boyfriend, and have kids, which is allowed here in our North America? Why do you have to perform that ceremony? Is this only ritual? Then how many divorces come even after that ceremony? People are getting married. Same thing with the Amrit.
We are going.
Once you know me more, then you don't have to more explanation about me with my name. You will say, oh, yes, I know this guy. He's doing this, he's like that, he's this, he looks like that. Once we know Gurbani whole throughout Guru Granth Sahib, then we are in a problem. Let's say we're going to at the verge of having a serious accident. What will we do? We will not repeat this. Sukhmani Sahib that time. So, Vaheguru, oh Lord, oh Jesus Christ, oh Allah. So this is a very, very short form of all Guru Granth Sahib, all our lifestyle, which we work at the spur of the moment when we are having a serious problem.
Yeah, I'm going to
This is
say.
what how I take it. I don't know about how the people think. And Gurbani says, Gur mantra chitar,
have to stop
dukh rathive.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕੋਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਪਏ ਹੋ ਨਾ ਮੁਰਗਾਨੀ ਨਸਾ ਨੇ
Hanji.
you know, the idea there is also that it lives in muddy waters and yet remains clean.
Yes.
So
Same thing.
that is the lesson for us, right? We can't run away from the world. We've got to be pretty strong in our standing.
Okay,
And
then it's Bandhan. We just read that Bandhan.
so that doesn't mean
Bandhan, Sansarik Bandhan, either we live with them, then we are under home.
Virti, can I add? Virti,
last
can I
round
add?
of observations. This is getting really hot and heavy.
Can I add something?
No, it's okay. Maybe
Yeah.
I cannot explain you well, but
Yeah.
you know.
So maybe just to add, just to protect against a protection point, like both of the panelists said, we have to protect against other people or whatever it is. But the fundamental concept of Gurbani is everything is one.
Yeah.
Whom are we protecting against? They are one. Har ka roop hai, right? I mean, everything is one. For against whom should I protect? And whom am I protecting? There is nobody to protect, right? So there is nobody to protect and nobody to protect against. So,
Hanji Gurjit, last thoughts on this? We got 2 minutes left.
To protect ourselves. Because these 4 words, if you read Mahalla Pehla, Patti Mahalla Pehla, you will see Vava represents what? Vava, there's this space, Vava Vasdev, and then ha ha ha, then space, read Patti Mahalla Pehla, ha Hari, representation of all that, what ha is representing. Then immediately you go to Mahalla Tija, Patti Mahalla Tija. Then they will say Gagga Govind, then we space, then they will tell you what Gagga representing. It's a representation of certain thing behind. You will find there Gagga Govind, then Rara, Ram, space, what's Ram? Then we put 4 words together. This is a representation of what is mentioned in Patti Malla Pella and Patti Malla. This is how it is.
Minute left, and Gurjit Singh, Australia. Last thoughts on this.
Hanji, Dasam Pasha has put all the Kirtan names in Jap Sahib. Hanji. The word Vaheguru is not mentioned there because the word I've already mentioned. Any names what as government in Gurbani are not compound words. This is our self. What Uncle Ji is saying, Vava ha ha. But if you go by that, it becomes Vaharagu. That word should become Vaharagu, not Vahaguru. These are all our own. But if you read from Gurbani, if you read from Sikhs, it is different. We try to follow Sikhs. We don't try to follow Sikhism. As per Sikhism, Gyan, jahan Gyan te dharm hai, and the Gyan is mentioned in Gurbani, we have to slowly take the layers of it. And repeating and calling this Simran, I think, is absolutely against Gurmat. It's just going forward and forward rather than being checked. The word in itself has become Simran. I don't know. He says, Prabh ka Simran sabte ucha. Prabh is father. Vaheguru is grandfather. How come grandfather is replacing father? If we go through the system. So hence, Naam is nothing but we have to find the self-realization, as Chaitanya says, is Naam. And that's what it should be. We have to check ourselves through the Naam. That's how it should work. A repetition of name doesn't produce any Gyan. Maybe improve your concentration. I agree to that. But it's not a Naam. So, Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa.
Thank you, Virji. And
okay, I really want to add something here. That I don't think we should have this discussion ever again, because on one side there are people who never do job, and on the other side there are people who have been doing job for a long time. They cannot even understand one bit what it means because they have never done it. They have never worked on that path. So in order for you to have a discussion, first please experience it. Start doing it from today onwards for 5 to 10 minutes, and then after a month, after you have gone through the experience, then you are ready to talk to the people who are doing it. And this is not coming from Home. this is coming from that it doesn't make sense.
No,
It really totally doesn't make sense
I
because
believe
you have never
I
tasted that fruit
believe you with a
and
thought.
you are debating that fruit.
No, hang on here. We will continue to have these discussions. That is why we have this forum. We want to bring people with different views, different experiences. That is the very idea of Khoj Gurbani, is to have these differences placed out. Nobody is forcing one's personal viewpoint on the other. That's the first thing. So these discussions will likely continue. The second thing is you're making an assumption. You are assuming that there are people here who have not done this. How would you know that? You
Because
don't.
they are
No,
saying
you don't.
it.
No, hang on. You don't. You don't know that for a fact.
They didn't believe in it.
No.
So
People
how
may
would you do something if you don't
have,
believe in it?
they may have come to a different conclusion. Okay? They may have
Oh, that's what